Sometimes tennis changes in a single afternoon. 1 minute, a young player is being talked about as a promising name for the future. The next, she is standing under the lights of the biggest final of her career, holding a trophy that tells the entire sport she has officially arrived. For Alex Eala, for Filipino tennis fans, and for everyone who has followed her rise, that moment came at the DC Open. Going into the final, Jessica Pegula had every reason to be considered the favorite. She was the experienced American, a proven WTA champion who had spent years competing against the best players in the world. She knew what pressure felt like. She understood how championship matches are won. She had been in these situations before. But once the match began, rankings, experience, and predictions could only tell part of the story. Alex Eala stepped onto that court and delivered the kind of performance that changes how people look at a player. She did not simply defeat Jessica Pegula. She made a statement. The potential people had been talking about was no longer just potential. It was becoming reality. This was bigger than another match result. It was the story of a young Filipina carrying the hopes of an entire tennis community onto the court and emerging as a WTA 500 champion. It was what happens when preparation finally meets opportunity, when belief turns into confidence, and when years of work come together on the biggest stage. The DC Open is no ordinary stop on the calendar. A WTA 500 event is a serious test, especially for a young player trying to establish herself among the sport's elite. Simply reaching a final at this level says something about your game. Winning it changes the conversation completely. For Alex, making the championship match was already proof of how far she had come. Lifting the trophy meant she had crossed another line entirely. And for Filipino fans, the emotional weight of that moment went far beyond tennis. When Alex plays, people in Manila, Cebu, across the Philippines, and throughout the Filipino diaspora are watching. Young players see somebody who looks like them competing on one of the biggest stages in women's tennis. Familias stay awake at crazy hours just to follow every point. Overseas Filipinos watch her matches as another connection to home. That kind of support can become pressure for a young athlete. Plenty of players struggle when they realize how many people are emotionally invested in their success. Alex, however, has shown an ability to turn that responsibility into fuel. She does not appear afraid of what she represents. She embraces it. And she needed every bit of that strength against Pegula, because this was never going to be an easy matchup. Pegula is one of those players who makes opponents earn everything. She can control rallies with depth, pace, and consistency. She does not need to play reckless tennis to put you under pressure. She keeps the ball deep, stays composed, and waits for mistakes. Against that type of opponent, younger players can sometimes rush. They try to end points too early because they feel like they have to do something spectacular. Alex needed something different. She needed discipline, precisión, paciencia, and the confidence to trust her own game. Her serve was especially important. Against a returner like Pegula, tentative service games can become dangerous very quickly. Alex needed to commit to her placement and pace and use the serve to put herself in strong positions from the first ball. Looking comfortable behind that first serve gave her a chance to control key points instead of constantly defending. On return, the challenge was different. Pegula's serve deserves respect, but respecting it does not mean backing away. Alex needed controlled aggression, choosing the right moments to step in and make Pegula uncomfortable without going for too much. If you can disrupt an experienced player's rhythm, even for a few important points, suddenly the pressure begins shifting to the other side of the net. Then came the baseline exchanges, where footwork, paciencia, inglés, and mental strength all came together. Alex's left-handed game can create problems because opponents see different spins and different court positions than they normally face against right-handed players. Those angles can drag an opponent outside her preferred hitting zones and open space on the other side of the court. Against Pegula, using that left-handed advantage intelligently could help turn neutral rallies into attacking opportunities. But the biggest challenge was patience. Alex could not panic when rallies stretched longer. Pegula's consistency is designed to make opponents feel like they need to hit a winner immediately. The smarter approach was to stay in the rally, wait for the opening, and attack when the opportunity was actually there. That is championship tennis. It is not just about highlight reel winners. It is about choosing the right shot when the pressure is at its highest. And that leads to the mental side of this final, because serving out a set, closing out a championship match, and managing the emotions of a career-changing moment are completely different from simply hitting the ball well. Talent can get you into big matches. Composure helps you finish them. In the most important moments, Alex appeared capable of finding another level. That is what makes this victory so meaningful. Her journey was never simply about having natural ability. She had to work her way into professional tennis with coaching, discipline, determination, and the support of people who believed she could compete internationally. Every Filipino fan watching this final was watching a symbol of possibility. In a country where access to elite tennis resources can be limited compared with some traditional tennis powers, Alex represents what can happen when talent is given belief, opportunity, and relentless work. Somewhere in the Philippines, young players are looking at what she accomplished and thinking, maybe I can do that too. And for Filipinos living abroad, the connection can be even more personal. Alex represents home. She represents Filipino pride on a global stage. When she succeeds, people thousands of miles away still feel part of the moment. That is why this DC Open title carries so much emotion. But the emotion should not distract from how difficult the accomplishment itself was. Winning a WTA 500 tournament is hard. You do not accidentally survive several runs against high-level opponents and end up with the trophy. You have to manage your body, your energy, your nerves, and different tactical challenges from match to match. You have to recover quickly. You have to make adjustments. And when the opportunity finally arrives, you have to close. Alex did that throughout the tournament. She stayed focused, adapted to different opponents, and kept finding answers under pressure. For a young player, that kind of week can be transformational because confidence earned through actual victories is different from confidence built on potential. Now she knows she can win at this level. Her opponents know it too. And that changes everything moving forward. A WTA 500 champion is no longer just somebody tournaments and commentators describe as an interesting prospect. She becomes a proven winner. The attention changes. Expectations change. Other players prepare differently. And naturally, the next question becomes much bigger: what happens now? Can Alex turn one breakthrough tournament into consistent success? Can she take the mentality she showed in Washington and carry it into the biggest events on tour? Can she continue climbing the rankings and eventually make serious runs on Grand Slam stages? Those are the conversations that follow a breakthrough like this. Coaches, fans, analysts, and opponents begin asking the same thing: just how high is Alex Eala's ceiling? Nobody can answer that yet. Tennis careers are not built on 1 week alone. There will be tougher opponents, difficult losses, physical challenges, and moments when expectations become heavier than ever. So many people will naturally point out that this is only one title and that the real challenge is sustaining the level. And they are right about one thing: there is still a long road ahead. But that does not make this championship any less important. Titles change players. They change self-belief. They change how opponents approach you. They change how the sport sees you. Before this run, Alex could be described as a talented young player with exciting potential. After winning an elite-level title, she becomes something different: a champion who has already proved she can finish the job. That distinction matters. She now carries experience that cannot be taught in practice. She carries the memory of handling championship pressure. She carries a trophy that represents something real, not hypothetical. And she carries the continued support of Filipino fans who have watched every step of the journey. For the Philippines and for young athletes who see Alex as proof that their dreams can reach far beyond home, this victory echoes beyond a tennis court. Her story is nowhere close to finished. In many ways, the most interesting part may only be beginning. The DC Open Championship has taken a rising player and given her a new identity, proven champion. Alex Eala has already answered one major question. Can she compete with elite players on a championship stage? According to this breakthrough, yes. Now the question becomes even more exciting, how far can she go from here? Can she win more WTA titles? Can she keep climbing? Can this be the beginning of something even bigger for Filipino tennis? Let me know what you think in the comments. Where do you believe Alex's career goes next? If you are excited to follow her journey, hit the like button, subscribe for more Alex Eala updates, tennis analysis, and stories from the women's professional tour, and turn on notifications so you do not miss what comes next. Because after a breakthrough like this, everybody in tennis is going to be watching.